Different tactics on fishing off tubes. You've got a variety of different fly lines and sink rates that you can use. So obviously you get a floating line, which you're going to fish either a dry fly on the surface or with a long leader and fishing around the weed beds just subsurface. Then you go into your hover lines, intermediate lines, and then all your different sink lines. So you get a type 3, a type 4, a type 5, type 6, type 7 sink line. Those all are sink rates. So when you're fishing, you've got to look at the piece of water, depending on what time of year, of what line you're going to fish, where the fish are going to be. It is summer now and the waters are quite warm. I'm fishing an intermediate line, and I like an intermediate line this time of year. You can get it around, there's a lot of weed normally this time of year, so you don't want something that's going to sink and just be in the weed the whole time. So the intermediate line's a hell of a nice line to fish off the float tube. Not saying it's the only line, but this time of year, normally the better line to use. So what we do is, you're going to cast out towards the structure and you're going to fish different techniques, different retrieves. So all that you're going to vary up until you figure out what the fish are wanting. Sometimes it's a fast retrieve, could be a slow retrieve. Another thing with fishing on float tubes is called hanging a fly. So hanging a fly really works well. So what are you doing is casting your fly out. All your new Rio fly lines come with hang markers on them. So with that hanging the fly and lifting that fly out the water, that induces the take. That fish could have followed and not enjoyed the retrieve you're doing, but all of a sudden now you hang that fly and the fly starts coming up to the surface, which is a natural sort of movement of an insect in the water. So that's going to come up towards the surface, and that often induces the take and gets the fish to eat. So on a float tube, you've got to realize that a fish can take your fly virtually a meter off from you. So fish that retrieve right up to the boat. You don't want to just get it in 3-4 meters from you and start whipping the fly out the water to cast again. Fish that fly right up to you. You're quite quiet in the water. You're not disturbing much. If you're sitting quietly and you're on an anchor system, you're not going to disturb those fish. So very important, that hanging of the fly. I think it increases my strike rate by probably 90% fishing off a tube. If you're not hanging flies, you're not going to catch fish. Very, very important. You do it on your hover lines, your intermediate lines, and all your different sink rate lines. Garrison, oh, there you go. The advantage of fishing off a tube, putting yourself right in amongst the weed where the fish are, and Gareth is into a fish in the background. Happy days.